You guys believe in the paranormal? I don't know if I do, but I had an experience happen to me when I was about 13 years old that happened with my cousin and my aunt, and it was so intense that I feel like I can't deny the experience, which really bothers me, and I'm home alone, but I'm gonna tell you the story anyway. I made a YouTube video on it years ago, but I also did like a TikTok videos a couple years ago about it, and they ended up getting taken down. So what you need to know is that I lived with two different grandmas growing up, one on one side of the family, one on the other, and this side of the family specifically was very, very non-religious, and the house that we lived in had supposedly someone take their own life, but also the landlord at some point was summoning angels in the basement. So there was like a specific room in the basement we weren't really allowed to go in. We stored all our like holiday decorations in there, but we also just avoided the basement because it had that creepy, eerie feeling. And one night, about a year after my grandma sold the house, I was over at my cousin's house. She is like a year or two younger than me, and she's a huge horror movie buff fanatic. So like scary stuff doesn't really freak her out. She's into that she enjoys that. I used to be like an avid horror movie watcher. In my old geriatric age now, I am much less inclined to be watching a scary movie. I just have too much anxiety in my real life to like add to the plate of things, but that is not the point. The point is we're sitting there, we're telling scary stories, and we get on the topic of nightmares that we've had, like previous nightmares. We're sharing real nightmares that we've had before, and I start telling her this nightmare that I had about kind of like being almost forced to walk down the stairs in my grandma's basement. Like I didn't want to, but I was. And growing up, there's paintings all over the staircase walls that we like finger painted when we were kids, but in the dream they were like morbid, and the further you got down the steps, like the more grotesque they got. And in this dream I am like going down the stairs, but I don't want to. And so here's the staircase, and there's a wall at the end of the staircase, and around that wall in this back corner was where the room was that we weren't supposed to go in. It was a very big basement, so it had like a left side and a right side, but it was right around this wall at the edge of the staircase where like that room was. And I don't know, that landlord, that lady, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So I believe it. She probably was doing some weird stuff down there. And I had like reoccurring nightmares as a kid, but this was not one of the reoccurring nightmares. So I don't know if that was related or not, but like in my mind as a child, there was like these evil creatures that lived in on my grandma's property. So I'm just explaining this dream to her. I'm going down the stairs, but I don't want to go down the stairs. I'm getting closer and closer to this room that I'm not supposed to be in, that I don't want anything to do with. But in this dream, I'm seemingly going down there to explore it. And there was a cat that didn't live in the basement, but was often in the basement. Her name is Soraya, and she is at the base of the stairs, like hissing and spitting like cats do when they see a threat. But she's hissing and spitting at something beyond the wall that I cannot see. And so I'm like alerted in the dream. I am like filled with fear, whatever. I'm telling her this dream. My cousin at the time, so like this is me also relating this story to you, and I round the corner, and around the corner is this giant figure. At first his hand like came on the door, and then the door opened, and it was like this big wide door. It wasn't like a real door, it was almost like a shed in the basement. So weird. So he like opens this door, and this creature, he's like big and black, but his arms are really skinny, and his fingers are super long and sharp, and he has these tiny beady red eyes, and he is like bigger than he should be to fit in the basement. And my dream ends there. And at this point, I'm like explaining this creature, and my cousin starts crying, and I'm like, oh no, I have messed up. Please don't go tell your mom. I am so sorry. I did not mean to scare you, because I'm just like getting wrapped up, engulfed in telling her this nightmare. And she's like, no, I've had the same dream. Come again? You what? You had the same what? What? So go to part 2.